Frieza woke up not knowing really how long he had been out since the Namek explosion. Saiyan? Saiyan! Goku? Goku woke up and looked down into his arms at Frieza. He still couldn't believe just how beautiful he was, but he let that rest for a moment. Frieza, you okay? The Tyrant just nodded, not trusting his own voice to sound weak in front of this legendary Super Saiyan that had defeated him. How long have we been here? I don't think for very long, otherwise some of your wounds would have healed. Goku reached into his hidden pocket in his pouch and brought out a sensu bean and broke it into two. Is that one of your restorative beans from our battle? Goku just nodded before placing the other half into Frieza's mouth, and the Ice Djinn just sighed as he felt the heat around his body before some energy returned. Goku had the same feeling some of the major wounds he had closed up and the hunger he had was sated for now. You feeling better, Frieza? He just let out a deep breath. Yes, much better, although more space would have been nice. The pod was a large one, much larger than standard, even Goku could tell. Must have belonged to one of the larger members of the Ginyu. You can move around a bit if you want to stretch. Frieza just nodded. So you have a destination in mind? Goku just shrugged. I just started the ship and set course for the next coordinates I saw in there. Goku started searching around the ship as Frieza thought on their next destination. If it was a Frieza force base, that would be amazing. But the Ginyu had their own missions, so it was likely the ship was heading there. Got it! Goku shouted momentarily, startling Frieza, who glared at the Saiyan. Got what? Frieza asked, his tone unamused, till he felt something cold on his neck as Goku slathered something on his neck and ribs, sending a shiver up his body when he rubbed it down his thighs to his legs. He knew Goku noticed, but never stopped as he proceeded to slather the gel on his tail as well. All better, and Goku's hands finally leaving him brought back down. What was that? As he looked at Goku applying some of the gel on himself. Healing gel. We found some of it when one of the Saiyan pods landed on Earth. It should help with everything the bean couldn't get. Frieza nodded absently. He hadn't thought about that. He barely knew how these ships operated, never mind what was on them. We should eat something and get you treated because if I remember right from what Bulma told me, these ships put you to sleep on these long journeys for a while. And so Goku proceeded to attend to more of Frieza's injuries and absent-mindedly kissing his forehead every time the Ice Djinn let out a grunt. Frieza felt it was kind of odd, but wasn't against it, as it brought up that same feeling he had from when they had locked lips, only more dampened. He leaned into the crook of Goku's neck to see if he still had permission to do so as they had back on Namek, and the reply was clear when Goku held him close before sinking his neck into the crook of Frieza's own. Frieza's form was smaller now after having returned to his normal final form size without the full power. Goku lightly stroked his back and his head with the gentle nature that he had never seen in a Saiyan, as if he was some precious item that he was scared to break. Even though Frieza knew he could be put through a mountain and come out the other side with only a few scratches, there was something about the embrace that made him want it more, further burying his head into his shoulder to feel all of him. The silence of the ship was only accompanied by the soft, satisfied hums coming from Frieza. Lights flashing was their only warning as the pod began to spray out gases into the ship. The ones Frieza suspected were to put them to sleep. But he didn't want to sleep. He wanted to stay in this moment, feeling all he was, feeling and with the silent understanding between him and Goku. But as he looked up into his eyes, he is met with that smile, not the cocky one he wore when they were fighting, and he knew he had the battle won, but one that seemed caring. He had only seen that smile on a few faces throughout his travels in the universe, whether it was some of his force returning home to their families or seeing each other after long battles. It brought an inadvertent smile to his lips at the thought of someone sending one of those smiles to him before he leaned up and kissed him in a slow, passionate kiss that even surprised him as he didn't want to rush this, only finally breaking apart because they needed air and leaned their foreheads against each other as he regained his breath. Even Frieza felt out of breath. They shared one last look as the world became dark and they both fell into their slumber.